Hi everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today is kind of rainy and dreary outside, so I figured I would do a video inside today. And today I am making some breads. I'm doing some different recipes, trying to see which one I like for Christmas. So I decided that I am going to go ahead and make some Italian bread for the drawer, that way we have it. And if I'm making Italian bread, I might as well make pizza crust because it's the same recipe. So I'm going to leave the recipe for my Italian bread in the description down below, but just know that that is the same exact recipe that I use for my pizza crust, and I'll show you how I do the pizza. So without further ado, let's get right to it. I don't want my tea to get cold. Okay, so I'm gonna double this recipe. I will leave the regular basic recipe down below, but this one's going to be doubled. So I'll get a loaf of bread and my pizza crust out of it. So I have 2 cups of warm water. Shoot for 110 degrees, give or take. You don't want to go too hot with it because your yeast will die if you do. Jade making Frenchy noises in the background. And if you go too cold, then your yeast won't bloom, it won't activate. So we want to make sure that we don't do that. Harley's choking on tea now. It's always loud around here. Can't ever have silence. I wouldn't know what to do if I had silence. So I'm doing 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. This is active dry yeast. The recipe calls for 2 1/4, which is equivalent to 1 packet. And I'm using just some regular active dry yeast. I get the big packs and then I stick them in a Ziploc baggie because I go through so much of it at a time. So now the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of honey. I am using 2 teaspoons of honey. That is a big jug of honey. Here's my little hack. Take some olive oil spray the inside of your teaspoon so that you have just a little bit in there, and then your honey will just come right out of the spoon. If you use a little extra honey, that's fine too. Oh, that's a lot of honey. I just get my honey in big jugs because I use an awful lot of it. Cook with it, put in our tea. All of the bread I make uses honey instead of sugars, when possible anyways. Okay, so you get those three things, the warm water, the honey, and the yeast. Give it a quick whisk to get everything mixed in, and we're just gonna let it sit for a couple minutes until it blooms, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, while we're waiting for this to bloom, the yeast needs the honey or sugar to feed on so that it, when it wakes up, has something to eat, and that's what makes the yeast leaven things and rise. So you have to have some sort of a source of sugar or food for the yeast. And we're just waiting. It should any second. There we go. See how that just bloomed? That means it's alive and good to go. Okay, now that we have our yeast and everything ready to go, okay, that's better. We're going to add, the regular recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm doing 4. My olive oil, I keep it in a mason jar with one of these little spouts on it. That makes it easy to refill. Olive oil is something else that I go through an awful lot of in this house. So these little silicone spouts are nice. My only complaint with them, they're great, they don't spill or anything, is sometimes the little lid doesn't like to stay shut. My only complaint. Okay, the next thing is salt. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon. Since I'm doubling, we're gonna go with 2. This is just a fine sea salt. Usually I like Redmond's the best, but I'll take sea salt any day. And after that, we're just going to add flour. So the recipe calls for 2.5 cups of flour. I'm going to use 5 cups because obviously we're doubling. I'm just using all-purpose flour for this. I have a big old bag here. Lower it in the sink so it makes it easier to get to. I prefer to use unbleached flour when possible. It's sometimes more difficult to find, sometimes it's more expensive to find. I can tell you that right now, this flour that I'm using is a bleached flour because that's just what I grabbed. But usually I source unbleached flour. Two more. And we're not perfect. Like, I'm not sifting this. I'm not doing anything fancy.
Get the most tasty.
And I'm not using a knife or anything. I'm just using my hand to level it off mostly. There we go. 5. So now I'm just going to turn this on low to incorporate it. And once it's incorporated, then I'm going to beat it. As I was saying, once it's kind of incorporated, I'm going to turn it up to, what is that, 2? Yeah. We're going to put it on second speed of the KitchenAid here. We don't want to go too high. And it's going to knead with the dough hook for 5 minutes. So, just got to let it go for 5 minutes. Okay, this is exactly what you want it to look like. I think we have 1 more minute for it to go, but you can see how it's soft, but it's not sticky either. It's just perfect. Okay, I turned it off. Now, we want to generously oil a bowl here. So I'm just using olive oil spray. It's my favorite to use. I'm gonna take our dough. And it shouldn't be messy. It should be just nice and soft. Just lay it down there in that grease bowl and cover. And I really like using these. They're shower caps, believe it or not. You can get a package of them for $1 or $2. And that's what I like to use because I can reuse them then. So this is going to sit for 1 hour or until it rises up out of the bowl. Okay, I'm back. So our dough has risen quite nicely. It's been an hour. Take its little shower cap off. And we're gonna just turn this out. Let me see if I can put you down here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing slightly. Okay, so my cutting board's over here. So we're just gonna turn this out. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the bowl. So I'm going to use my bench scraper and I'm just going to cut this in half. Okay, this is going to be our loaf of bread right here. I'm going to turn it over and stretch it out a little bit. Tuck your ends in. Stretch and fold.
Push even harder. Nah.
Just like
We ain't
that.
going out like that, Chase.
There's your loaf.
We ain't going out like that.
Put that on the cookie sheet. And I will score that down the middle here in a minute, but I'm gonna get my pizza dough ready. So we're gonna take what's left, which you could easily make another loaf of bread out of, and cut that in half. Now we have our pizza crust. Set that aside a minute. Scraper over there. Okay, this is what we cook our pizza in. Cast iron. We're gonna give it a nice coating of olive oil. And you're just gonna put your crust in there and you're gonna stretch it out.
Where are you at, man?
There is no better pizza than one that is made in a cast iron, I promise you. If you don't have a cast iron, you can easily put this on a cookie sheet. But you want to make sure that it's something that can take heat. You could do a pizza stone too if you have one of those. Those work out well. You want to make sure it's something that can take heat because you're going to put this in at 425. which you should be having your oven preheat to that.
There he is.
Okay,
Got him.
there we go.
Loser.
So you're gonna look something like that. Let me grab my other one. I think my olive oil's out. No problem. For right now. I'm gonna use this. It all works the same. Just a little drizzle in there. Gonna spread it around. There we go. Okay. Might have put a little too much olive oil, but that's okay. This is a bigger cast iron too, so. Could also easily put cornmeal in the bottom if you like that on the bottom of your pizza.
Okay, there's only one left. There's only one left.
Okay.
Chase is dead.
Don't mind them playing the video games in the background. It's Sunday, so. We're gonna do our best to spread this out. Like I said, I might have put a little too much oil in there. It's okay. Now, if you really wanted to, instead of doing a loaf of bread, you could just do a thicker crust, which I've done before. It's really delicious. And one of these days, I will do my sourdough focaccia recipe for the pizza and show you guys how to do that one, because that's also a big hit. That one's more like a deep dish Sicilian. Okay, so we have our pizza crust now.
Yep.
I'm drying off my hands here a little bit. Okay, this is, I'm gonna try Amy up a little bit.
Got him.
There we go. This is some sauce that I canned earlier this year. You can use any pizza sauce that you like. This is just like a spaghetti sauce, but I use it for just about everything. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. Okay, I'll save this for the other one. I didn't get a spoon. Spoon. Comes in handy. Just gonna spread that around a little bit. Now you can top this with whatever you like. I'm just using some generic pizza cheese. We really like a lot of cheese on ours. And it's okay if the cheese gets a little on the outside of the crust because it gets all crispy and caramelized, so it's delicious.
Let's get it.
I think a bag for each one is just about right. And I sliced up some pepperoni, so we're just gonna throw some pepperoni on this one.
What's that?
I don't want to have to slice more, so I'm going kind of sparingly. Okay, this one's ready. This one needs more sauce. What's up, Chase?
Nothing.
Okay. Oops. Another bag of cheese. And who doesn't love piles of cheese on their pizza? No, I do. Some pepperoni. One thing I love about making pizza at home is I'm the only one that eats like peppers and stuff on mine, so I can divide it up however I want to. Actually, I have some extra pepperoni, so adjust this one up a little bit more. Perfect. So I'm actually going to use some banana peppers that I canned to add to mine.
That's a big hitbox, Jacob.
Go. I should have grabbed some jalapenos while I was at it. I was looking for some black olive slices. That would have been pretty good too. But this will do.
That'd be interesting. Watching Dad play films.
There you go. Now, these are ready for the oven. We're gonna put them in at 420 for, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna go around 15 minutes and we're gonna check. You wanna see everything melty and bubbly on the top, but you also wanna make sure that your crust is nice and golden and that it's really cooked. So this one's a little bit thinner, so we're gonna check it in about 15 minutes. So I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, this is the finished pizza on the finished loaf of bread. And I'm gonna slice it up so that you can see what it looks like. Okay, so here it is, finished slice, and it's absolutely delicious. So definitely make this. The recipe for the crust or bread is down below. Add whatever you want. Your family will love it. It is much better than a boxed pizza any day of the week. You can make it however you want, and you're gonna love it. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.